And this is why imposter syndrome and self-doubt can really hold you back from building the business that you're actually capable of instead of just what you think you're capable of. You're getting so in your head about the things you have to do and getting things perfect and doing things perfectly. And that's just not the case, okay? It's not always imposter syndrome. Sometimes it's just new. You're listening to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, a business and mindset coach who specializes in imposter syndrome. If you feel like you're not as smart, capable, or worthy as you actually are, and that someone is going to find you out, then you've come to the right place. I went from being a struggling government worker, working my coaching business on the side, but feeling unworthy and burnt out, to making multiple six figures helping women overcome imposter syndrome so they too can sign clients, make bank, and have the business or career of their dreams. I am nothing special. I have a stuttering disability, ADHD, and I struggle with anxiety and depression. So if I can learn how to feel good enough and overcome my inner imposter, then so can you. Let's dig in. Hello, my loves. Welcome back to the From Imposter to Empowered podcast. I'm your host, Jill Perrick, and I was just coaching inside of the Real Deal Mastermind Telegram channel. Me and my mastermind client were going over her Q4 plan. We were going over what she's going to be selling during Black Friday, and we strategized the entire thing. And then in the next breath, I was coaching another client inside of there on self-sabotage as she's getting to her next level and how she's getting really comfortable at her current income level and how to break past that in order to get to those 5 figures a month. So this is the duality that I love inside of this container and what I want to invite you into if you are somebody who is ready to go from 4-figure months to 5-figure months, not just in a strategic manner, but also with your identity and with your mindset. You want to become the person that has 5-figure months. You want to start thinking that way, planning ahead, building out your offer suite, and you want to stack the income to recurring income, not just once, not just twice, but actually stack it and become the woman that is in that stacking to 5-figure months energy. You want to grow your emotional resilience so you can become a problem solver in your business and step into that version of you that is the real deal, that version of you whose skills match your sales and marketing skills, right? And that is the biggest thing here because so many of you are so good at what you do, but you know that in order to get to those 5-figure months, you want to master the sales and the marketing side of things and bring in recurring income again and again and again. Not just have a fluke month, not just know how to only bring in 4 figures a month. You want to break through and shatter that glass ceiling to recurring 5-figure months, and you're going to do that inside of the Real Deal Mastermind. There are limited spots inside of this container. I only take a maximum of like 8 people inside of this container at a time because this is high level intimate coaching. I am in it with you. I am scrutinizing your business and your content from the inside out. There is an intimate Telegram channel, multiple reviews of your content and copy per month. So you're really nailing your messaging and creating converting content. And I've been working on a whole new curriculum again to get you to those 5-figure months, not only in your identity, but also in your offer suite so you can have them on repeat. And that again is exactly what we're going to do inside of the Real Deal Mastermind when you come into the space. So send me a DM at your coach Jill and we can chat and see if the mastermind is the best fit for you. And I actually have a little sneaky Black Friday bonus that is going to be exclusive to my email list. But if you send me a DM and you're like, hey, I heard this on the pod, can you give me the deets? I will be happy to do that. So I called this episode, is it imposter syndrome or is it just new? Because this is a conversation that has been coming up a lot for my clients. And it's funny because it will present itself as imposter syndrome, as I'm not good enough. I'm a fraud. I don't know how to do this. And like I was just saying when I was talking about the Real Deal Mastermind, a lot of the work that I do is helping my clients align their skills as the expert at what they do to their skills with marketing themselves and articulating how they help their clients and really bringing those two things together so your income can fucking match how good you are, right? A lot of the time when somebody struggles with imposter syndrome and why it's so rampant in the online space, it's because for so many of us, we are doing a lot of things for the first time. We're learning how to show up online. We're learning how to be visible. We're learning how to say things in a more clear and concise way. We're learning tech, admin. We are learning so many things about ourselves also in the process that it makes total sense why a lot of my clients would come to me and be like, I'm struggling with imposter syndrome. I don't know what I'm talking about. But they're getting things confused, right? They're confusing actual imposter syndrome with this is just new and it's hard. because the majority of clients that I work with are very smart, accomplished women. They are women who usually have gotten awards in school, usually highly educated, certifications out the ass, and everybody knows that the smartest women are the ones that think too much, right? We're too smart. So you're going to think things through. You really care about integrity. You really care about the work that you're doing. You want to make an impact with the work that you're doing. So you have this very high standard for yourself. And a lot of the time, you're going to hate this, but you probably also have a big fucking ego. And when something is hard, when something is difficult, when something is not easy off the hop, you'll question it. You'll be like, oh my God, am I not good at this? How come this isn't easier? This is so embarrassing, right? And I'm just speaking from experience, okay? Because I'm a generator in human design. And when I'm frustrated, it is my worst trait. Frustration is like my not self theme, and being fucking frustrated about things not going right. Oof. Like recently I had this glitch with Kajabi that was entirely my own doing, but I digress. But I was so frustrated. I had to take a step back and breathe, and I just figured it out. No big deal. But let me just say that I did not come from a sales and marketing background, right? Like I came from a helping background. I came from the government. I came from a more tactical background, but I also have my education in psychology. I was going to become a therapist, and then I came into the online space instead and decided to become a coach. I had to learn how to do a lot of things that had to do with running a business, because I never intended to run a business, y'all. Like I never intended to run a business or be somebody who was an entrepreneur. And it's so interesting because I notice that the people who are only in it because they just want to work for themselves, they usually never stick with something long enough to see it through, and they usually quit. So think about Ryan from The Office, okay? So The Office is one of my comfort shows. One Tree Hill is my comfort show. It used to be my core comfort show, and of course I still love it. I've been to like 6 conventions. I love the shit out of that show. But and I'm so excited that they are rebooting it. Okay, cool. That's amazing. But okay, my husband actually was really into The Office, and he was like, you need to watch the show. You need to watch the show. And I was like, no, because there's something about me that is just like, if somebody tells me what to do, I'm like, I'm not gonna do that until it's been long enough that I decide to do it on my own, okay? It's a really cute trait that I have. So anyways, he finally got me into it, and now it is my comfort show. It's the show that I'll turn on if we're eating dinner. It's a show that I'm going to turn on if I'm having a snack or I just want to get comfy cozy before we go to bed. And Ryan in The Office is always trying some new entrepreneurial endeavor, okay? He never fucking sticks to anything for longer than a minute. And he's not good at any of these things at all. Like he's just starting new things, hoping it takes off. And the reason why so many small businesses fail, I think it's like 60 or 70% of small businesses are going to fail before the 5-year mark, right? It's because there are those kinds of people who are just looking to work for themselves and aren't actually passionate about what they're doing, because you need fucking thick skin if you're going to continue your business, if you're going to stick with it, even when things are hard, even if they don't seem like things are going to pan out, right? The difference is when you really care about the thing that you're doing, you are more likely to ride it out. And when I came into the online space, I just wanted to be a coach. I didn't think I'm starting a business. I thought to myself, I'm just becoming a coach. And unfortunately, what comes with that is owning a business, the taxes, creating your own schedule, having to do things on your own motivation and drive and commitment, your own marketing, your own sales, tech, admin, all of these things that maybe you didn't realize were a part of this gig. And now you do. And it's not that you can't figure out how to do these things. You just have to be okay with being bad at running a business. You just have to be okay with the fact that you're not going to learn how to work your email platform right away, right? Like you're not going to know how to write a sales page right away. I always think about one of the first coaches that I ever had. She actually was very good at the sales and marketing side of things, and you could tell that even though she had just started her business, she had that edge because she had been doing sales and marketing for a very long time. So she was very good at that stuff. And if you're not alone. I have built an over $600,000 coaching business, even though I did not come from a background in sales and marketing. It's a skill that you can learn, and just because things feel difficult or it feels sometimes like you're trudging through the mud, it does not mean that you cannot be so fucking successful in the online space. You just have to be okay with your ego being bruised and with you learning how to do something and not being good at it right this second, okay? Owning a business that is primarily in the online space is one big initiation because there's no validation. There's no one coming to validate you. There's no one coming to say you're doing a good job, unless, of course, you're working with people and you get that feedback. But it's nothing that you're not capable of. If you are somebody who is incredibly smart, but you feel really stupid sometimes in business, it's going to be okay. The only issue is that you're making it mean something. The only issue is that your ego can't fucking handle the fact that you're usually the smart one and the one who has her shit together. And this is why imposter syndrome and self-doubt can really hold you back from building the business that you're actually capable of instead of just what you think you're capable of. You're getting so in your head about the things you have to do and getting things perfect and doing things perfectly. And that's just not the case, okay? It's not always imposter syndrome. Sometimes it's just new. And even if it is imposter syndrome, even if it is that thought of I'm not good enough, you're allowed to be a work in progress. Right? I always talk about how the people who are taking action and doing the things, it's not that they don't struggle with imposter syndrome, it's that they're allowing themselves to be in process. And that means that you're working towards the standards you have for yourself, even if you never reach them, because you're always raising the bar. And that doesn't mean that you never feel good enough. It means that you have standards for yourself. I remember before I wrote my book, so yes, I wrote a book. It's called You're Not Special, and you can get it on Amazon and hit the bestseller list within 2 weeks of being released. No big deal. So before I wrote that book, though, I had this thought of I really want to be able to write a book in my 30th year or before I turn 30. And that was the goal that I had. And I do struggle with feeling good enough and having really high standards and high achievements for myself. And I had to repeatedly remind myself before I wrote the book and as I was writing it that I was in process and that was okay. I was still good enough and worthy at that moment. And the same thing is what I do with the business. Whenever I'm trying to reach a new income goal, whenever I'm trying to fine tune something in the business, I know how to talk to myself now. And I know how to remind myself that I'm always in process and I'm going to get there. But for now, I am good enough. But it's because I'm working towards actually reaching those standards, right? It's not like I'm just staying still and not taking action and not doing anything. And I'm saying, I'm good enough, right? Like I'm doing the things. And as soon as I do get there, there's just going to be another milestone to reach. There's just going to be another thing I want to accomplish. For now, it has to be good enough because I'm not going to get there if I'm so desperately trying to get out of my current state, out of my current mindset, and constantly telling myself that who I am, how I am, and where I am isn't good enough. And like 90% of the time, it is not the fact that I'm actually not good enough. It's always because I'm doing something new or something scary. I'm pushing the limits of my comfort zone. And we talked about this last week on the podcast. You're just pushing your growth edge. A lot of the time when you have a business, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're out of alignment. It doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't be doing the thing. Running a business and being the sole person in charge of that business, working with clients, doing the tech, doing the admin, and of course I have a team now, but there was a long time when I didn't have any help at all. There are a lot of things that I had to fucking waste my time on and learn how to do without any prior knowledge, without knowing how to actually do anything, right? But that's not an excuse for you to stop. It's not an excuse for you to hold back. It's not an excuse for you to be down on yourself. Is it really imposter syndrome, or are you just doing something new? Is it really that you don't think you're capable of this, or are you just experiencing resistance in the moment? Normal resistance, normal discomfort. And this can be any circumstance. It can be creating content each week. It can be doing the admin for your business. It can be dealing with a client issue that you're not used to dealing with. I always ask myself, what part of me is this hitting up against? And where can I learn from this? How can I just see this as a problem to be solved instead of this big bad thing that means I'm not going to be successful or that things aren't going to work? You have to show yourself how to think in that way. You have to start thinking in terms of problems and solutions instead of attitude, like, oh, this is so not going to work. I can't believe how hard this feels. Again, stop saying that things are hard. Stop saying things are hard. Because you know what? It's going to feel hard until it becomes an unconscious practice. Until your belief in yourself is unconscious, until your tenacity and emotional resilience are unconscious, and until the skill you're developing is unconscious, give yourself some fucking grace. Even at multiple six figures, there are still things that I'm learning how to do. Know the difference between I'm not good enough and I don't know what I'm doing, or this is just hard because it's new, or I'm feeling resistance because I'm not the best at it. And your emotional resilience will skyrocket. You'll be able to handle so much more. You'll take on more. You'll move through things faster. And don't be surprised when your income fucking skyrockets because of your willingness to just keep the train moving no matter what. And y'all, this is not something, again, that you're going to be prone to only in the beginning. This actually came up for me a lot when I was a couple years into the business, because in the beginning I was so naive. I didn't know what it was like to work with a lot of clients. I had only been showing up and selling for a short amount of time. When it came to doing tasks in the business, I just saw everything as an opportunity, and I was just so hopeful that it was going to work out. And then, I spent some time in the industry. I had a big income dip when I had to drive for Uber Eats. I worked with a couple coaches that didn't have my best interests at heart. I had experiences that really informed who I am now, and I had to reframe all of those things, first of all. But I also had to learn how to get my hope back. I had to learn how to do things without the previous knowledge that I had beforehand about everything, that it wasn't going to work or that it wasn't worth it. Right? Something that I said to my clients inside of the From Imposter to Empowered program recently was that your thoughts are just evidence from your past. That's all they are. All your thoughts are just evidence from your past, regurgitating the same emotions, regurgitating the same experiences for you, because the brain wants to keep you safe. The brain wants to operate at the lowest capacity possible, and it's up to you to decide to reframe situations, to change your mind, and to see everything as an opportunity again, to get out of that jaded kind of thinking when you've been in the industry for a while. And I've seen this time and time again, especially in my mastermind, where people's income has gone down because they experienced an inevitable income dip. Maybe they're changing things up, and what ends up happening is they start to lose hope. They start to think, well, the things I used to do aren't working anymore, and what is all this for? Blah, blah, blah. But the answer is to always step back into your power and realize that you are the determining factor between now and what happens in your future. All right, my love, I hope you loved this episode. If you're a coach or service provider who wants to go from 4 figures to 5 figures a month, if you want to make content that is highly converting and step into the version of yourself that is not only an expert at what you do, but also an expert at articulating what you do, and become an expert at marketing and selling yourself, then you are the perfect fit to be in the Real Deal Mastermind. Head to the link in my show notes to see the sales page, and then you can send me a DM at your Coach Jill to inquire if this is the space for you. I love you so much, and I'll see you next week. Hey babe, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Screenshot it and put it on your stories and tag me at your Coach Jill. And if you really love me, you'll rate and review the podcast. And if you screenshot it before you submit the review and send it to me, I will send you a free gift on me. If you want to take this work deeper, come and work with me in the From Imposter to Empowered program or the Real Deal Mastermind. And finally, if you want just a snippet of my work to feel what it's like to be in my world, then you need to buy my best-selling book, You're Not Special, and you can get that on Amazon. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you next week.